Thank you, participants, and I hope so all enjoyed the video. Now let's go into the session. Now I request the host for today's session, Joshna, to kindly take over the session.
Yes, Priyanka.
Joshna, kindly turn on your camera and align it properly so that no issues may arise. Yeah, it is fine.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Other speakers, kindly switch on your cameras. We can start the session, Joshna.
Yes. A smile is a welcome sight that invites people in. It's a welcome gift to encourage others to achieve greatness. A very good evening to one and all present here. I'm Josna Vansi from the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. On behalf of St. Joseph's Institute of Technology, I'm here to host today's session. It's my great pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all for the Student Development Program on the topic Surfing on the Cloud. Now, I would like to extend my first and foremost gratitude to our Honorable Chairman, Dr. B. Babu Manoharan Sir, Managing Director, Mrs. S. Jessipriya Ma'am, Executive Director, Mr. B. Sasishekhar Sir, and Principal, Dr. P. Ravichandran Sir, for giving this opportunity to conduct today's webinar. I would also like to extend my gratitude to our Head of Department, Dr. C. Jnana Kausalya Ma'am, Staff and Student Affairs, and Dr. G. Rohini Ma'am, Lab Affairs, for their ceaseless support. Now I invite Ms. Kaushika KK to share a few words about today's speakers.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Kausika from the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. It's my pleasure to welcome today's speaker, Mr. Linus Edric P., who serves as an active IEEE member of Photonics Society. His works mainly coordinate AWS Cloud and DevOps. He currently serves as an active member and overall representative of the St. Joseph's Institute of Technology, AWS, and Robotics Cloud. He is very much drifted towards the cloud computing and its revolution, and also has high interest towards aerospace. He has also won in many inter-college symposiums and participated in many hackathons. And I'm also pleasured to welcome our second speaker, Mr. Kamalesh V. of final year, who is currently serving as the IEEE chairperson of EMBS Society. His work mainly coordinates crypto and blockchain. He currently serves as an active member and overall representative of St. Joseph's Institute of Technology Robotics Club. He has conducted many live workshops, webinars, and hands-on training sessions for first-year students and school students. He is also very much into Bitcoins and its revolution. He has also conducted many awareness programs and entertainment sessions for school students and orphans. He has also won in many intercollege symposiums and hackathons globally. Now I hand over the session to Josna Vinci.
Before we start the session, keep in mind the following instructions that need to be followed by the participants. Kindly turn on your camera and mute yourself. Post your queries in the chat box and they will be discussed with the speaker at the end of the session. The feedback link will be posted at the end of today's session. Now I invite our speaker, Ms. Selena Cedric P., to kindly start the session.
Thank you, Ms. Josha and Kaushika. And a very warm welcome to all the participants here. Myself, Lena Cedric P., and I'm going to give a brief on cloud computing today. Students are requested to grab a pen and paper for this session because it will be very useful if you take notes. So without any delay, let's start the program. So first of all, what is cloud? Wait, let me share my screen. So back to the question, what is cloud computing? First, let's see today's agenda. So first discussion would be how websites work. Then what is the server and networking? Traditional versus cloud infrastructure. Intro to cloud computing. Types of cloud implementation. Global infrastructure. And the basic building blocks of cloud AWS cloud computing, which is EC2 and S3, ELB and ASG. All this will be discussed in a span of half an hour. So students are kindly requested to pay attention towards this, and there will be a quiz session at the end of this briefing. So how does website work? So இப்போ நீங்கள் ஒரு கம்ப்யூட்டர் இருக்கு சார் இப்போ நீங்கள் இந்த இதை பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கீங்க. So if you are on a screen watching these events, so if you check at the top right, there will be a link, right? So if that link directs you towards the server's IP address, which directs you to, which is mainly a DNS server, which directs you towards the content which I share. நீங்கள் உங்கள் கம்ப்யூட்டர்லேருந்து ஷேர் பண்ணுறது நெட்வொர்க் ஒரு ஐபி அட்ரஸ் மாதிரி இருக்கும், அது ஒரு வேர்ட் மாதிரி இருக்காது. ஸோ இந்த நெட்வொர்க் வந்து ஒரு டிஎன்எஸ் சர்வருங்கிறதுல போய் அது டிக்ஷனரி மாதிரி நீங்கள் கொடுத்துருக்க அந்த வேர்ட்ஸை அந்த காம்பினேஷன்ஸ் சீக்வன்ஸ் ஆஃப் நம்பர்ஸை மேப் பண்ணி ஒரு வெப்சைட்டுக்கு அதை மேப் பண்ணும். ஸோ அந்த வெப்சைட் வழியாக தான் நீங்கள் இப்போ இதெல்லாம் லாகின் பண்ணி பார்த்துட்ருக்கீங்க. ஸோ இது வந்து ஜஸ்ட் லைக் சென்டிங் அ மெயில். ஓகே, இப்போ நீங்கள் ஒரு லெட்டர் சென்ட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா அதில் ஒரு அட்ரஸ் நீங்கள் ஃபில் பண்ணுவீங்க. ஸோ அதே மாதிரி இப்போ ஒவ்வொரு இன்டர்நெட்டில் நடக்க ஒவ்வொரு இதுக்கும் ஒரு ஐபி அட்ரஸ், IPv4 அண்ட் IPv6ங்கிற ஒரு அட்ரஸ் காம்பினேஷன்ஸ் இருக்கும். அதை மேப் பண்ணி தான் உங்களுக்கு எல்லா இன்டர்நெட்டில் நீங்கள் எது சர்ச் பண்ணாலும் அது உங்களோட அந்த கண்டென்ட்ஸ் வந்து உங்கள் கம்ப்யூட்டருக்கு ரீச் ஆகுது. ஸோ வாட் இஸ் சர்வர் கம்போஸ்ட் ஆஃப்? சர்வர் கன்சிஸ்ட் ஆஃப் CPU அண்ட் RAM. CPUங்கிறது மெயின் ப்ராசஸிங் யூனிட். ரேம்ங்கிறது என்னன்னா, இப்போ நீங்கள் ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணுற CPUக்கு பேட்சாக உங்களோட டேட்டாவை சென்ட் பண்ணுறது தான் RAM. CPU வந்து அட் அ செகண்டில் எவ்வளோ ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணுமோ அதை விட ஃபாஸ்ட்டாக RAM வந்து அந்த கண்டென்ட்ஸை ஸ்டோர் பண்ணி அதில் வச்சுட்டு CPU தேவைப்படுற டைமில் அதை CPUக்கு அது சென்ட் பண்ணும். இந்த ரெண்டும் கம்பைன் பண்ணது தான் பிரெயின் ஆஃப் த கம்ப்யூட்டர்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ அதான் இப்போ டேட்டா ஸ்டோர் பண்ணுறதுனா ஒன்ஸ் அண்ட் ஜீரோஸ், தட் இஸ் இன் பைனரி ஃபார்மாக இருக்கும். நம்மள மாதிரி வேர்ட்ஸில் நம்ம எழுதுறோம், பட் ஆனால் கம்ப்யூட்டர்ஸ் வந்து ஒன்ஸ் அண்ட் ஜீரோஸ் மட்டும்தான் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணும், பைனரி வேல்யூஸ் மட்டும்தான். இப்போ இந்த டேட்டாவில் நீங்கள் ஸ்டோர் பண்ணுறீங்களா கம்ப்யூட்டரில், இட் மே பி a structured way or unstructured way. ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ட் வேனா அது ஒரு டேபிள்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் லைக் டேபிள்ஸாக இருக்கும். அன்ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ட் வே வந்து மோர் ஆஃப் லிங்க்ஸ் மாதிரி இருக்கும், ஒவ்வொன்றுக்கும் ஒரு கீ பேர்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி அசைன் ஆகிருக்கும். ஒவ்வொரு இதோட இது அடுத்தடுத்து இதுக்கு டைரக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி அன்ஸ்ட்ரக்சர்டாக இருக்கும். ஸோ நெட்வொர்க்கிங் பேசிக்ஸ். நெட்வொர்க்கிங்கில் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரவுட்டர், ஸ்விட்சஸ், டிஎன்எஸ் இருக்கு. டிஎன்எஸ்ங்கிறது டொமைன் நேமிங் சர்வர். இந்த எல்லாமே ஆக்சுவலாக கிளவுட் கம்ப்யூட்டிங் லேர்ன் பண்ணால் இந்த பேசிக்ஸ் எல்லாமே தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும். ஸோ ஓகே, ட்ரெடிஷ்னலாக எப்படி ஒரு இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர் ஹோஸ்ட் பண்ணாங்கன்னா ஹோம் ஆர் கராஜ். இதில் மோஸ்ட்லி கராஜஸில் டேட்டா சென்டர்ஸுங்கிறத வச்சுருப்பாங்க. இந்த டேட்டா சென்டர்ஸ் தான் உங்களோட எல்லா இன்ஃபர்மேஷனையும் ஹார்ட் டிஸ்கில் சேவ் பண்ணி வச்சுருக்கோம். நீங்கள் எப்பெல்லாம் கேட்குறீங்களோ இன்டர்நெட் வழியாக அதை ப்ரொவைட் பண்ணும். ஆஃபீஸர்ஸ் வந்து அது மெயினாக வந்து டேட்டா சென்டர்ஸுங்கிற அவங்களோட நேமில் சொல்லுவாங்க. பட் டேட்டா சென்டர்ஸ்னால் என்னென்னா அது ஒரு சர்வர்ஸ். நீங்கள் எப்போ அது இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் ரெக்வஸ்ட் பண்ணீங்களோ அது அந்த டைமில் ப்ரொவைட் பண்ணும். சப்போஸ் இப்போ உங்கள் லேப்டாப்பே நீங்கள் ஒரு சர்வராக யூஸ் பண்ண முடியும். பட் ஆனால் அது ஒரு ரொம்ப ஸ்மால் ஸ்கேலில் தான் யூஸ் பண்ணுற மாதிரி இருக்கும். இப்போ ஆஃபீஸர்ஸ் இப்போ பெரிய பெரிய கார்பரேட் கம்பெனிஸ் பார்த்தோம்னா அதுக்காக ஒரு டெடிகேட்டட் விங் வச்சுருப்பாங்க டேட்டா சென்டருக்காக, ஸ்டோரேஜ் அண்ட் தென் ஆக்சஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்காக. இந்த ட்ரெடிஷ்னல் ஐடி அப்ரோச்சஸ்ல என்னென்ன ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்க்கலாம். இப்போ ஒரு டேட்டா சென்டர்னா இட்ஸ் நாட் அ ஸ்மால் ஏரியா, அது ஒரு ரொம்ப பெரிய ஏரியாவா இருக்கும். அந்த ஏரியாவில் நிறைய மெஷின்ஸ் நீங்கள் அதில் இன்டகிரேட் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்க மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நீங்கள் அந்த மெஷின்ஸை ப்ரொக்யூர் வாங்கணும். அதுக்கு நீங்கள் இனிஷியலாக நிறைய ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி இருக்கும். ப்ளஸ் இதை மெயின்டெனன்ஸ் இஷ்யூ உங்களுக்கு இருக்கும். இதை ஒவ்வொரு தடையும் எவ்ரிடே நீங்கள் மெயின்டைன் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கணும். ஆனால் இது எல்லாமே பிளேஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய ஏரியா, லேண்ட் ஏரியா வேணும், ஒரு பெரிய பில்டிங்ஸ் தேவை. அந்த இது அதை ப்ராப்பராக கூலிங் சிஸ்டம்ஸ் இருக்கணும், இன்டர்நெட் கனெக்டிவிட்டி இருக்கணும்.
Like, sorry for the interruption, Linus.
Yeah.
Like, they're asking to communicate you through English, so kindly make it in both languages so that all could understand.
Okay.
And participants kindly like understand that we have all participants from South as well as from other countries. So we request you all to kindly make it, Linus, make it at ease. So kindly communicate to both the languages.
Okay.
In English as well as if they don't understand, try to convey it even in Tamil. Okay, thank you.
So back to the limitations of traditional IT approach. We can't monitor the hardwares and then the underlying infrastructure 24/7. We can monitor, but it will be more expensive by keeping a staff and then providing security for that, and then providing an infrastructure like internet connectivity, etc. So what if there is a disaster strikes like earthquakes or power shutdown or fire, something like that, or security issues? All your infrastructure would be at bay. People can't access your websites or any other hostings you have done on the internet. So in order to overcome all these issues, concept called cloud computing was conceived. Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute power, storage, and database and other IT resources. Which means if your laptop's processing power is too low for a batch processing or something like a game development, which requires a huge amount of graphics processing, you may order or procure a virtual machine from the AWS or other cloud providers, which in the size which you require. Like if I require around i9 processors for my work, but my laptop is stuck with i3 processor. So you may log into the AWS management console and then request for an i9 processor instance. And then you only pay for the time you use, which means if you are using it for 1 hour, you will pay only for that 1 hour. And then there are several options in procuring these instances, like spot instance, dedicated instance. We'll see one by one. And then there is a pay-as-you-go pricing. You only use for the amount of data or amount of resources you use. If you are using i9 processor in the virtual machine, but the compute power you required is like way minimum than you anticipated, or it's equivalent to i7, the ELB or auto scaling group will automatically reduce the compute power to your needs. So you may only pay less amount than you anticipated. Services on your day-to-day life without knowing, like Gmail. Have you ever wondered where all your mails are stored? It's in a phone or in some other places? Have anyone ever thought of it? The participants are requested to be interactive, please. Okay. Also, have you ever wondered where the movies in Netflix or Amazon Prime or which are streamed into your laptops or televisions are stored? They are all stored in a data warehouse, which is far almost thousands of kilometers away from you. But even when they are away from you, almost thousands of kilometers, there is no delay in receiving the contents. That's what cloud computing is all about. It's just storing all your data in some warehouses which are very much far away from you, and then delivering the content in fraction of second delays. What are the deployment models in cloud? There are three basic deployment models in cloud. Okay, the first one is private cloud, second one is public cloud, third one is hybrid cloud. So what is private cloud? If an organization uses the data warehouses only for themselves but in a cloud environment, which means anyone within the access anyone who has the access for the cloud can use it in the remote manner. We no need to be available in the exact data center for using the services. So this is the private cloud. The organization uses it only for their own use. What is then public cloud? Public cloud is organizations, companies like AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure provide cloud computing services for general people like us in order to improve our business needs or education or research needs. Whenever we need much more compute power or storage, we may use the public cloud. So what is hybrid cloud? If AWS using their own servers for both public and private use, then it is a hybrid cloud. Half of the data they use may be stored in their own data center, and half of the data which may need to be accessed by all other people are stored in the cloud computing servers. So, in today's session, we will focus mainly on AWS cloud. AWS is a cloud provider like Google Cloud and Azure Cloud. So what is the global infrastructure of AWS cloud? AWS has first we need to understand the concepts of regions, availability zones, and data centers. So region is like Mumbai region. If you take what is the region? It's the whole of a subset. Consider Mumbai is a region, and then the availability zones are the company or places in Mumbai, which may be or let me take Tamil Nadu as an example. If region is considered to be Tamil Nadu, then the availability zones are Chennai, Madurai, Trichy, like that. And the data centers are within the Chennai or within Madurai. How many there are several companies which store their data in some data warehouses, right? So individual locations are the data centers, and the whole combinations of several data centers is an availability zone. And combinations of 2 or 3 availability zones like Madurai, Trichy, and Chennai is the Tamil Nadu region. It comes under, this is just an example. There is in AWS there is no Tamil Nadu region, but for an example I'm using this. And also there are edge locations. If you need to if you need to view a content which is available only in the US server, you may cache a copy of the contents in your nearest data center, which is known as edge locations. The data which is in faraway locations are available to you in a millisecond delay manner. So how to access the cloud computing? There are 3 main ways to access the cloud. One is through management console, other one is through the SDK, and other one is through the CLI. I will give an example of all these 3 at the last of the session. So what is management cloud? Management console. Management console is the AWS website. AWS has an official website for requesting the instances and storage services, or whatever you need, you name it. AWS has around 200 plus services for our use for business usages. Using a management console is the most easiest way to access the underlying resources, but it does not offer you full control of the resources. So the next one is the SDK. SDK is like using the programming languages for you for the business purposes. Like you may code it to trigger, you may code the services, and then you may use it in the cloud. Like if you want some events to happen every day at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, you may have a code for that, and then deploy the code into the AWS CLI, SDK, and then it will automatically trigger the code to run on 8 p.m. and 6 p.m. every day. So what SDK uses programming languages like Python, Java, C, C++, etc. And it also supports any other custom languages which you request from the AWS. The next one is CLI. Many of us know terminal window and command prompt in Windows and Mac systems, right? This is the same as AWS CLI. So you may access them using the uh, code words like make directory, change repository, like that. So one of the most basic services of AWS is Amazon EC2 services. EC2 is like a service which you can use to um, rent a virtual machine. It's like an intermediary between you yourself and then AWS hardwares through which you can buy or rent a virtual machine and then use it and you okay you may buy or rent a virtual machine and then you pay only for the time you use in that. So what is EC2? The briefing abbreviation is the Elastic Compute Cloud. What is the name Elastic means here is if you stretch an elastic, it will go on till a particular limit, and then when you leave it, it will shrink, right? The same concept. Whenever you need an instance, it will provide you with an instance, and if you need more of an instance, it will automatically increase the amount of instance until the limit you have specified. And if you no longer require that instances, it will automatically reduce the computing instances. So this reduces your overall cost and also the overload of the AWS servers. The EC2 is mostly an infrastructure as a service based concept. There are three main concepts in cloud computing: infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service. Infrastructure is nothing but the underlying network and physical devices in AWS data centers. But the data centers இருக்க physical devices இதெல்லாம் தான் இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஏன்னா உங்களுக்காக ஒரு இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர் அவங்க டெவலப் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்காங்க. So the next one is platform as a service. So platform as a service is like the management console, or there is an option called AWS Marketplace where you can buy a platform like Kubernetes or containers, and you may use those to access the underlying hardware or for your business needs. This is known as platform as a service. The third one is software as a service. AWS provide a variety of softwares for your business cases. You may select your particular or your on-demand softwares from the AWS marketplaces, and also AWS accepts your custom softwares too. Okay, what is the main use of EC2? EC2 is used to rent virtual machines, storing data on virtual drives, EBS. EBS is known as elastic block volume. So whenever you run an EC2 instances, whatever the data or metadata you generate, they will be stored in EBS volumes. And whenever you terminate the EC2 instance, this data in the EBS will also get erased. And then distributing load across machines, ELB. We will see about elastic load balancer, ELB, in further slides. Scaling the server using an auto scaling group. Okay, we will see the ASG also in the upcoming slides. Okay. EC2 sizing and configuration options. EC2 supports variety of operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. If I'm using a Windows machine, a Windows laptop, and if I want to run my applications in Mac OS or Linux, I may rent a virtual machine from AWS, and then I may configure it to Linux or Mac OS, whichever I require, and then run my software or my instances on it. So you no need to install everything in your local computer, and you may use it in a remote fashion. So it may be faster, and also there is a much less overload in your system. It also removes the undifferentiated heavy liftings, which are like unnecessary actions which are taking place in your system, like writing or keeping a data of every move you make, or like that metadata which never gets stored in your computer, and these are stored only in AWS virtual machines. And whenever you delete the instances or delete the EC2 volumes, they too will be get erased. How much compute power and cores you need? So if I need a CPU with 8 cores or 16 cores, I can ask from AWS that this is my request, and they will provide me with 8 cores or 16 cores, whichever I need, and in an immediate fashion. Which means if it's just a matter of clicks in order to uh, provision a resource for you. How much random access memory? If I need 8 GB RAM for my processing, or if I'm using a heavy computing or heavy load works like Kubernetes data warehouses and machine learning or big data analytics, I may use 16 GB or 8 GB RAM, which I need to install in my local laptop. But in AWS, it may automatically increase your RAM size in whichever fashion you require. And then EBS and EFS are the storage fashion. EFS is elastic file storage and EBS is elastic block storage. Elastic block storage stores your data in a blocks in the form of blocks. After a particular limit of data is generated, that block will be left aside and the new block will be used to store your data. This block storage is of minimum size. Like if you need to store a image, it will divide the image into thousands and store each part of the image in each block. And EFS is like a traditional file system used in Windows. Like in Windows, you may see a C drive and then your program files folder. So there is a hierarchical fashion in that. So EFS will store data in that fashion. Firewall rules and bootstrap script are beyond the scope of this session, but I'll just give a gist on that. Firewall rules are the security groups. You may configure the security groups in the way you need. Like only the people you have specified can use, or everyone in the world, or everyone who is connected to the internet can use. Or you can specify users in the internet who can access these resources with a particular configurations. And EC2 has a vast amount of types actually. There are like M5 2x large, S5, S3 6x large, like that. The first letter M denotes the instance class. There are around 7 types of instances in AWS. First one is general purpose. General purpose instances are our everyday needs. Like you may not need a particular memory size or hardware capacity for this. Just normal usage will be coming under the general purpose, like website development or app development. These don't require a much level of computing or storage, so you may go with the general purpose, which is a mix of computing, storage, memory, everything. Compute optimize is mostly used for high performance computers where the CPUs are much faster. So you may need you may need the services for big data analytics, data warehouses, and then SQL or no SQL processing, like that. Then memory optimize for games. Like if you are having a heavy graphics usage, like games, or mechanical softwares like CAD CAM, which requires a huge amount of GPU processing, you may use memory optimized instances. And then accelerated computing. If the compute optimized instances are not enough to your use, you may use accelerated computing, which is much faster than the compute optimized ones. And storage optimized. If you specify that I don't want compute power or memory power, memory means in the CPU memory, but I need unlimited amount of storage, then you may opt for storage optimized, which is specified by yes, I think so, instead of M. Okay, what is the M5 2x large? First one, the M is like instance class. The M denotes the general purpose instance or compute optimized instance or memory optimized instance. Mostly M denotes memory optimized instances. And then the digit 5 represents the generation of the instance. You may choose for 4th generation instance or 5th generation instance, but there will be a price variation between both of them. And then 2x large is the size of the instances which you procure. If your instances can only work for a particular load, then you may need to opt for a much larger instances for your use cases. So EC2 instance purchasing options. There are several options for purchasing in EC2 instances. The main ones are on-demand instances. if you need some instances within the next minute, or if you are going to work on something in the within the next 10 minutes, you may opt for on-demand instances. On-demand instances are like the most expensive of all these, but they provide you with the resources you need in just a matter of seconds. They don't need an all agreement or like prepayment or like that. On demand instances or like whenever you need the instances, they AWS will provide you with the instances, and when you terminate they will bill you only for the seconds you use that instances. And then reserved instances are for 1 or 3 year terms. You may have an agreement with AWS for 1 year or 3 year plans. And then reserved instances are like if you are anticipating that your company will be requiring 500 terabytes of storage for each month, so you may use reserved instances until a 1 year or three with a 1 year or 3 year plan for the 500 terabytes of storage. If you try to use this in on-demand instances, it will cost around thrice the times. The expenses are more than thrice the times for this. And AWS recommends you to use reserved instances whenever possible. And convertible reserved instances are like flexible. The reserved instances has some restrictions which you cannot do. And AWS has some rules and regulations for reserved instances. Convertible instances are like you may use the instances for 6 months and then sell the instances in the AWS marketplaces. But the convertible instances are like a bit more premium over the reserved instances. And then savings plan. So if you're just starting a company, and if you don't worry about the it's not about worrying the efficiency, but still, if you want a cheaper plan to for hosting your application, you may opt for savings plans, and AWS will consolidate all your usages, and then they will be like providing you with only the adequate resources which you may need. Then spot instances. Spot instances are if you are using AWS, and then if I need to use AWS, but I don't want to go for on-demand instances every time, I may use the extra computing capacity, which is the spare capacity, which AWS uses. Like AWS, if AWS has 500 terabytes of storage, and the people all over the internet use only the 400 terabytes of storage, the remaining 100 terabytes of storage will be a wastage for AWS. So you may opt for that 100 terabytes of storage, and then you may store your data. So if AWS requires them, if AWS needs and predicts that there will be a spike in the storage, like there will be 450 terabytes of storage required in the next few hours, then they will give a message to you that these servers are required, so kindly turn off your instances. Spot instance provide you with up to 90% discount in on-demand pricing. If you are paying 100 rupees for an on-demand instances, you may only pay 12 to 13 rupees or just 10 rupees for spot instances. Dedicated hosts and dedicated instances more or less same. And dedicated hosts are like your own machines which are maintained by Amazon AWS. You may rent them. You may own the machine for 1 year or 3 year, whichever plans you have with AWS, and then you have the full control of the machine, and AWS will take care of the networking and then infrastructure related and maintenance related roles. So, and capacity reservation, the last one. Capacity reservation is if I am in Chennai and I require 50 terabytes of storage from my nearest data center for a particular span of time. Okay, then which is the nearest availability zone for me, which is like Chennai. Chennai has the many data centers. In that, I opt for one data center, and then I pay for only the capacity I require. So AWS will provide the capacity for me for that the time I specified. Then now back to EC2 image builder. So EC2 instances have okay, if your laptops have some OS, right? The OS which powers the laptop, which has all the underlying codes and drivers, everything integrated into it in order for your computer to run. This OS is this is same as that of EC2. Image builder is nothing but the boot script of EC2. It specifies how the EC2 should work. What is the size of the EC2 instances? What is the configurations you have made? Everything will be written in the written as image builder format, and then it will be used to deploy EC2 instances. Okay, used to automate the creation of virtual machines or container images. Okay, virtual machines or container images in the sense it provides the boot script for your virtual machines to operate. And then automate the creation, maintenance, and validate of and test of EC2 AMIs. Okay, if you are creating an Amazon machine image one time, you may use it for the rest of years with slight modification whenever you require. And this service is actually free and anyone can use it, but you only need to pay for the EC2 instances which you use and not for the OS or underlying boot script you configure. Here you can see this is an EC2 image builder which I can make, and then using this image builder I can configure an EC2 instances up to in the way I require, and then I can deploy this in the website or applications I need. Okay, then now the next topic is elastic load balancing and scaling groups. Elastic load balancing and auto scaling groups is like whenever you need an extra storage or computing power, they'll automatically increase your storage or computing power. Like vertical stability, you may increase the size of your instances, or horizontal stability, you may increase the number of your instances. Like if in a coffee shop, if there is only one person in the counter, if there is a queue coming over there, you may increase the number of persons in the counter. This is the horizontal scalability. Or you may increase the speed of the particular person. So this is the vertical scalability. And this is auto scaling group does it automatically whenever you require. So the next one is Amazon S3 section. S3 is for storage of your data. S3 is an object storage service. In that sense, you may take any number of data and then put it in a particular bucket and then store it in AWS S3. So this bucket size is unlimited, but every instance or every data or file you upload into the S3 section should be minimum of 5 terabytes. But the Amazon S3 has unlimited storage. You can even store petabytes of data within Amazon S3. Also, S3 has durability, which is 11 nines of durability, which is highest in its class. The 11 nines of durability in that sense, you may if you store 1 crore object, 1 crore amount, 1 lakh objects in Amazon S3, and on an average, you will expect only one file to be corrupted or lost or maybe delay like that for every 10,000 years, which is very much durable compared to the other systems. Hands-on session will be taken after the quiz session. Now I'll stop sharing.
Now I request Kamaleshri to take over the session for the quiz. So all participants kindly be alert.
Yeah, so we are on end of our session. Right now we're gonna have a quiz. Participants are kindly requested to post their answers in the chat box. Try to post their answer within a minute. So Linux will share the quiz.
Kamalesh, kindly turn on your video so that it will be visible to participants. And participants, as he said, kindly post your answers in the chat box. The question will be presented through the screen. So kindly read with the question and then post the answers in the chat box. These questions will be purely based on the session that is being taken by Linus. So kindly answer and get benefited. Everyone will be certified with e-certificates. Linus, I think screen is not visible. Yeah. Kindly check.
So,
Kamlesh, kindly guide the participants
can you
in.
see the screen now?
Yeah, it is visible, Linus.
So the first question is, how does S3 provide data durability? Participants are requested to post the answers in the chat box.
Participants' options have been displayed there. Kindly, you can just post the option like A, B, or C, or D in the chat box. No need to type the entire answer. You can just type the option there present in the question. Linus, if they doesn't know the answer, kindly give the explanation for it even. Okay.
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 So how does S3 provide data durability? And uh, the correct answer for this question is data replication across multiple availability zones. If you are storing a data in a particular availability zones, and if a disaster strikes, your data will be lost. So in order to reduce or eliminate this reason, AWS store all your data in multiple available, at least three availability zones in a region. Like I may store this in Chennai and one copy in Madurai and one copy in Trichy. So whenever if one of the data centers fail or availability zones fail, it will be available across other availability zones. So periodic data backups to separate data centers. Periodic data backups will be done by the particular person and not the AWS. So this may not come under the data durability. Data mirroring and different AWS accounts, all these are like the person's like person's responsibility, and these are not AWS responsibility to provide data durability. So the first option is the correct one. So moving to the second question, what is the maximum size of the object that can be stored in Amazon S3? Priyanka, kindly inform if you receive any answers.
Sure, Linus.
This is like maximum size of a particular object. S3 has an unlimited storage amount, but what is the maximum size of a single object which can be stored in the S3 bucket?
I think answers have come, Linus. Kindly check with answers.
Yeah, Akka, I need to turn on.
Okay, I'll just tell you the answer. The option they have given is B and 5 TB, like 5
Yeah,
TB.
B and 5 TB is the correct answer. So you may in a single bucket you can store only 5 TB, and sorry, single object can be only of maximum of 5 TB, and you can store n number of the objects in S3. Moving to the third question, what AWS service can be used to trigger events based on S3 bucket operations? And I may not. Sorry, I may not have covered this topic, I think so. And the answer is AWS Lambda. Lambda is like you may set a trigger. I just gave a gist on it. If you want the event to occur at 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. every day or every Monday, like that, you may configure it using a CRON command, and AWS will will deploy the resources or anything you requested on the particular time, which is the and also these events trigger a serverless function called AWS Lambda. So option C is the correct one. Moving to the fourth question, what is the minimum number of availability zones that S3 replicates data across for high durability? Priyanka, any answers? Hello?
Yeah, hello, Linus.
Yeah, any answers?
No, wait, Linus. Like, I think they are working on it. Just give them 1 more minute. Linus, you have
Yeah, C is the
answered it.
correct option. Yeah, sorry, Akka, I have turned on in my phone too.
Okay, okay, no.
Yeah, three availability zones is the correct answer. So moving to the fifth question, what is Amazon S3 used for? What is Amazon S3 used for? Yeah, C is the correct option. Amazon S3 is used for storing and retrieving data. What are the fundamental components of S3? So fundamental components of S3 are buckets and keys. You may store your objects in the buckets, and then you can provide keys to the users or your clients, so that they can use the data you stored in the buckets. Which of the following programming languages can be used to manage EC2 instances programmatically using AWS SDK software development kits? Yeah, the correct option is all of the above. So you may use Python, C++, Java, C, or any other programming languages for writing SDKs. What is the AWS service used to distribute incoming traffic across multiple EC2 instances within a region? AWS service used to distribute incoming traffic across multiple EC2 instances. I think I haven't said about this one, so I'll explain this. If there are a huge amount of traffic coming into your server, or like your instances will automatically spread into several instances. This is done by AWS load balancing. If you configured your instance just for 500 requests and there is a sudden increase of 5000 requests per second, then the elastic load balancer will spread the request to tens or twelves of the instances. Which pricing model allows you to pay for EC2 instances only when they are running and not when they are stopped? You only pay for the EC2 instances only when they are running and not when you have stopped or terminated the instances. Guys, please try to answer. So the correct answer is on-demand instances. In on-demand instances, you only pay for the instance time or in seconds you use. You won't pay for the uh, in reserved instances. You would pay for the whole 1 or 3 year term, which you have agreed upon. But in on-demand instances, you only pay for the resources when you start using them and until you terminate them. So what does the AMS stand for in the context of Amazon EC2 instance?
They've answered as A Linus, like option A.
And actually it's wrong. Amazon, it's not Amazon managed instances, it's Amazon machine image. And you will store the boot script is in like images is not in the terms like photos. It's like a boot script. You may learn more about it in the containers and dockers. So that's the end of the slide. I think I'll stop sharing.
Thank you for this wonderful session, Linus and Kamalesh. I request Joshna to kindly take over the session.
Yeah, Priyanka, I would like to call upon Kaushika to continue the session. Kaushika?
Yes, I'll take over now. Yeah. Dear participants, now it's your turn. Kindly raise if you have any queries. Kindly unmute yourself, or you can also post your queries in the chat box. Okay. Now I thank you, Mr. Linus Edric, and also Kamalesh V for this wonderful session. The feedback form is available in the chat box. All the participants are requested to fill out the feedback form without fail. Thank you. Now I request Joshna Vansi to conclude the session.
Now it's time to express our gratitude. On behalf of the Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, St. Joseph's Institute of Technology, St. Joseph's Group of Institutions, I would like to thank Mr. Linus Cedric P. and Mr. Kamlesh V. for sharing their wonderful insights with us. My heartfelt thanks to our beloved chairman, Dr. B. Babu Manoharan sir, for organizing a wonderful webinar to gain knowledge. My sincere thanks to our managing director, Mrs. S. Jessipriya ma'am, Executive Director, Mr. B. Sasishekhar sir, and Principal Dr. P. Ravichandran sir for giving this opportunity to conduct the webinar successfully. And I would also like to extend my gratitude to our Head of Department, Dr. C. Nanas Kausalya ma'am, Staff and Student Affairs, and Dr. G. Rohini ma'am, Lab Affairs, for their ceaseless support and guidance. Last but not the least, my sincere thanks to all the participants for your active participation and support. Thank you all.
Thank you, Joshna, for that. And thank you, participants, for joining here. We have the next session tomorrow itself. So, tomorrow's topic is going to be completely about AI, that is artificial intelligence, and it is the most upcoming technology that has been coming. So, I request you all to kindly share the link with your friends and family members and get benefited. Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful participation. Thank you all.